Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, this video is going to be about gamers and do gamers want games to fail? Now, I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't want to see a game fail. Not initially. Now, that may change later on once details of the game comes out. However, that seems to be a line of attack people are starting to use over on Twitter. There's this video that was put out by Nadeshot. He's the guy in the video, but it was posted by a Hun2R. I guess that's what you would call his Twitter tag. But let's listen to the video real quick, and we might pause and talk about it. We'll see.
There's something weird that has happened in the gaming community. I'm serious too when I say this. For some reason,
he's on camera, but he keeps looking up. Is he reading chat or something? I don't know. I'm not a successful streamer, so I actually don't usually have a chat to read. Just saying.
Everybody in the gaming community wants games to fail. It's very bizarre. Like, the whole thing with XDefiant is still, like, stumps me to this day. People complain about not having enough games to play, but when new games come out, even before they have played it, they're like, that game sucks, I'm not going to play it.
They're not making that accusation based off of nothing. They're basing off of trailers, gameplay footage that gets leaked, reviews that gets leaked, or they're basing off the fact that you have community managers and other people that come out and they talk shit about the players who they're supposed to be selling the game to. I mean, there's reasons. It's not just, hey, I want the game to fail. There are a ton of reasons behind this.
Listen, man, if we keep tearing down these studios trying to make good games, like, yeah,
maybe they'll actually make good games. I mean, if you're hired to do a job and you don't do the job, you get fired. That's generally how the world works.
Every single one is going to be fun, and not every single one is going to be a hit.
If not every single one is going to be fun, then what the fuck are you doing?
But if we're sitting here like preying on its downfall before the game even comes out,
if you're not making fun games, yeah, we should be preying on your downfall because you suck at your job.
What do you think's going to happen? Nobody's going to be investing in gaming and making new games.
No, they're going to be investing in the companies that actually make good games. Larian Studios and some of these Korean devs have actually pushed good games out recently.
And you're not going to have shit to fucking play. You're going to be sitting here playing MW2 Remastered.
You know what's happening nowadays because the games are so shit that's coming out. People are playing old games. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be playing old games. And these dev companies know that people like playing old games, hence all the remasters that are happening because they know the old games are better than what they're releasing now. That's why they remaster all this crap.
Remastered edition. You're
Oh,
going to be sitting here trying to play fucking the same old games for the 1,000th time because these billionaires and fucking multi-million billion-dollar publishers, they're not gonna greenlight any new games, any new concepts, any new IP.
Because the way devs are making games nowadays, it's balls. It's horrible. Why would we want to invest in that? They need to change their ways. Once they change their ways and get back to the basics of making a good game, those investors will be there. Those investors want to make money just as much as anybody else does.
I mean, I try to put myself in the shoes of myself when I was like 16 years old, but I can't. I was excited for new games when they came out.
I play games, but at 16, I was excited for a lot more than just video games. I'm sorry. If I went back to put myself in a 16-year-old shoe, my wife would shoot me.
The problem is now we have too many options. We've seen too many different games. We've seen too many different ways to interact with games. Like, back in the day, bro, in 2007, when Halo 3, Gears of War 1, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare dropped the same fucking year, bro, we were lined up outside of GameStops, whether it was in a mall or attached to a fuck.
Dude, there are still years like that where you'll have good game after good game drop in the same year. I mean, that's happened over the last couple of years.
Fucking Hollywood Video, sitting there waiting, camped out, drinking fucking Mountain Dew.
Okay, he's got me on the Mountain Dew. That I could definitely go for. My body doesn't. But boy, that is my drug, I'm telling you.
Waiting for these new games for the midnight release. Everybody was so excited about it.
I would never do that. I was never one of those people that would be for a midnight release. No.
Now when new games come out, we're fucking sitting around a goddamn fire witch artifact, like doing a satanic ritual for the game to fail miserably. I don't really...
What game is he attached to here, potentially? Is he a dev? I don't know who this guy is. Is he attached to a game that's getting like roasted online that's going to end up being a bomb and flopping and losing billions of dollars for the developer to the point where they're going to get fired? Is he biased here? I don't know who this guy is, but it almost sounds like at some level he has some, benefit that he's trying to protect here. Like he's got skin in the game. All right, so we saw that. Let's just take a look at some of the responses here I've seen on Twitter regarding this. All right, so you got this post from Endymion here. I'm hoping I say that right. Forgive me if I'm not. I assume it means how stuff like Gamergate 2 has affected things, so let's sum it up nicely. Developers became activists, true, and have been focusing on diversity and pandering over the most important part of a game, which is the fun factor. Also true. Characters are mad. Characters are made deliberately ugly to not offend certain demos of people on purpose. True. An anonymous Naughty Dog artist said they are being forced in AAA to do this. And when you take the activism ruining of gaming and combine it with the extreme liberal games journalists who never see anything wrong with their ideologies, but instead ignore truths to remain biased, it leads to where we are. Yeah, I mean, you need context there, obviously, but yeah, that's true. The companies will not listen to players if they just complain or get mad. It doesn't matter. The only language companies understand is money. True. That's true. So why are games failing more often than not? Because some morons who are overpaid at the top believe it's better to spend $200 million making slop like Suicide Squad and force devs to make things they're uncomfortable with making, and then they add enough pandering to make you want to vomit. I will admit, maybe he's right about the artist. I can almost guarantee you the devs that are making these games, they're not uncomfortable with it. They're part of that ideology. Have you not seen screenshots or pictures of the dev teams that make these games? I mean, that's the stuff they spew every day. That's their, politics and stuff used to be separate. But it's gotten to the point now where you live that stuff every day. These people embody that stuff every single day. So everything they do has to be, part of this whole politics. They have to include their politics, their gender, their sex, their way of thinking into everything that they do. And that is part of the problem. We can't separate things anymore. Not all games are failing, just the activism driven ones, true. In terms of multiplayer games, I guess players just hate anything new, but I barely, if ever, play multiplayer games anymore. Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that too. And that whole genre is just the same shit over and over, so I'm done with it mostly. Well, he's got a point there, especially when you take like Concord. It's coming out. It's basically like an Overwatch type reskin. Overwatch has been out for a long time, and then they had another one that's in development. It's like the Avengers, Marvel Avengers or something like that. It was essentially an Overwatch clone. I mean, that whole shtick has just been done into the ground. There's only so many of that type of game that can exist until they just start failing. I mean, if you like that type of game, why would you play anything over an Overwatch? Especially when you compare Overwatch with Concord. Overwatch is much prettier to look at least initially. I mean, just look at Rule 34. Now, it's been living off of that for a long time. Now, you compare it to some of the characters they recently released, that's probably more closely in line with Concord. And they're falling to the same prey that Concord and some of these other development companies are falling prey to. Just, like I said, the only reason Overwatch hasn't gone the way of the dodo is because when it first came out, it wasn't like that. You look at some of the characters that came out and the fan art of those characters, whew, that's what the game's living off of right now. But long story short, game industry balloons during COVID, hires too many people, true. Ton of activists, true. They make games about their activism over being fun and worth the money, true. Then people say no thanks, company loses money, studios balloon and pop, and now people are losing jobs, and the projects they worked on don't do well at all. He's true. They did overhire during COVID. They ballooned up. They got a lot of people they really didn't need. So there's a lot of wasted money there. And then when you make games based on your activism and your ideology, instead of just being fun, making games for the people who actually are going to play them, yeah, it's going to fail. A game is not meant to be your therapy session. It's just not. It's not meant to push your ideology. Look, I would be okay with it if they did that. And they allowed it to go the other way, but they don't. You can see that on Nexon, where Nexon will ban mods that will change the gender of somebody, or that will replace the pride flag with an American flag, or will take out pronouns. They ban that stuff. They don't want those mods on their site. But if they have mods that put pronouns in, that put the flag in, that do the exact opposite, that's going to be allowed, because that's whoever runs that site, that's what they support. Again, going back to the whole, we used to be able to separate all of this stuff from politics. Nowadays, we can't. Like I said, they live this stuff day in, day out. Everything they do has to fall within that window of politics. And they have to be validated for their life choices. And if you don't like what they're doing, then you're some bigot, you're some ist, you're some phobe. This is why we pray for certain games to fail. This is why gamers want certain companies to fail, because they don't put games out that are for the people. They put games out to suit whatever ideology, whatever agenda that they want to push. And they've been winning up until now. It hasn't been until recently that they've really started feeling it. And that's why you're seeing all these people come out and try to make up excuses and try to say, oh, well, they're just praying for games to fail. They want games to fail, blah, 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 right? Now, this person basically had Mugen Lord, basically had a similar take. He's leaving out the context of why gamers want games to fail. What about the controversy surrounding the game? How about the constant back and forth with community managers and developers about their political messaging? How about shitty pricing and monetization? Will the game be broken on day one? The list goes on and on. Outside of ideology, these are also valid concerns, and why a lot of gamers are tired with the way the AAA game industry is now. Starfield, for example, is one of them. That's a more recent example of a game that honestly deserved to fail based on the way it was released. How about the constant back and forth with community managers? I seem to remember something about that when it came to Helldivers 2, and look where Helldivers 2 is at now, right? And developers about their political message. Again, you have to separate this. You cannot expect to be successful when you are actively alienating at least 50% of your base. You can't. Not when you're expecting that base to buy whatever product you're putting out there. When you cut that base in half, how are you going to be successful at that point? Because you just lost half of your customers. That's half of people who won't be buying your product, won't be giving you money. You just cut your revenue in half. This other person says, this is an easy position to take when you sit on the fence so hard it goes inside. Okay. Sometimes you have to understand that some games deserve to fail. Otherwise, bad practices keep going and games get worse. Agreed. Like I said, people, this guy, I don't know if he's got some hidden agenda, if he's got some sort of bias or some sort of benefit to making this point. If he's part of a team that's made a game, who knows? Who knows his reason for saying this? But I think he's intentionally blind as to what's going on in the industry to have this position. I think he's saying it on purpose, and for whatever reason, who knows? But we have to stop combining our therapy sessions, our activism, our ideology, our politics, or whatever you want to call it. We have to stop combining all of that into the product we make. Because you're making bad games at that point. The gameplay itself suffers. Hey, that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope everybody understands we don't want games to fail by default. There are reasons. There are always reasons, and those are valid reasons, even if you don't agree with them. But I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this coming from the channel, and I will talk to you guys next time.